Okay, salam alaikum again. Uh, we have been fortunate to have had Dr. Dowlati as our guest speaker in the past, and it is my honor to introduce him again tonight. I have known Dr. Dowlati for more than 40 years now, always in the capacity of a teacher and a mentor. I think it would be fair to say that he was born an educator. Um, As a formal or more formal introduction, Dr. Dowlati is a psychology professor with more than 30 years of teaching experience in Washington, D.C., New York City, and Tehran. The focus of his research and presentations have been human cognition and lifespan development. Since 1992, he has served the community as a lecturer, counselor, school principal, and a teacher for K to 12 levels as well as adults. He's currently a full professor at the Northern Virginia Community College and at George Washington University as well. The topic we're going to hear about tonight is nurturing stronger bonds, enhancing parent-child relationship. Given what a wonderful father and grandfather Dr. Dowlati is, I think he's one of the best candidates to talk about this topic, both at a theoretical and practical levels. So without further ado, I leave the stage to Dr. Dowlati to present his talk.
Salam and thank you, Dr. Qureshi. That was too much for me to hear. I still need time to chew it. But to save time, I go directly to what I'm supposed to do tonight. I'm privileged and I congratulate this school, Cell Academy. They were talking about new property. I don't know if you could have imagined like 4 or 5 years ago, I don't know how old the school is, that you are going to have a land given to you, inshallah. Of course, people help you, but on top of all, it's the God's approval. Inshallah, take it as a sign that your work so far is rewarded. And of course, you have no way back. No way back. Inshallah, move forward and think as you do. I appreciate the group, and the reason I am with you is because you think about quality, not only quantity. Having a land like say 100 acres or 10 acres, having the number of students and followers and whatever, this is a good index for growth and development. But thinking of quality is what matters most. And tonight I try to just share with you a few things, not much. I will be talking for about 40 minutes. Then I am open to hear from you any questions, comments, or more things to discuss. It was parent-child relation or parent-child in the context of religious education. That was what I'm supposed to talk. So if I say parent-child relation, I mean in this context, because I just finished 2 classes of psychology. I try to take that hat off and come to you and have a talk with you about what you need, what applies more application to you. As Dr. Qureshi said, I'm a psychologist by profession, by name, and a teacher. Yes, I was the other day, it was yesterday, I was walking a few blocks from the White House, and I saw there was 2 people, young people, 1 or 2 young people. Suddenly they look at me and we had eye-to-eye contact. They were my student, because this happened in Iran a lot and in other places. But I couldn't imagine I walk in the heart of Washington, D.C., and I have my students crossing by. That is a sign of aging too. It is not only a privilege, it seems I'm aging enough to have someone in every corner look at me as old teacher, former teacher.
Let's hope that one day you will have one of those inside the White House, not just outside.
Okay, yeah, I have my picture. If you want to show, I have my picture with the First Lady of the United States, but this is not the place I show you that picture. If you want, Dr. Qureshi, I can share with you later. We two had lunch or dinner together. It was years ago. And that picture crossed my mind. I found it randomly last week and I showed it to a couple of people. And of course, it doesn't mean necessarily we like each other, but we had picture together and there was a smile. Yeah, I have someone in the White House currently, but not my student, it's my colleague. Hey, back to, let me share with you the slides here. Here is, I hope you see what I see. Do you? I need one confirmation about.
Yes.
Okay, great. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I start with this, that parents are representative of God. That doesn't mean they are so important because we all are representatives of God, Khalifa on this planet, to do something. Of course, you understand your mission and you take care of it. But when it comes to this side, house or home, then we also have more responsibility. We used to say the same thing about teachers, but in the 21st century, I think the role of teachers have changed. The roles they play has changed. But formerly, when I started teaching, we started that career not just as a job, but as a passion, as something you like, as even ibadah. They told us that whoever does this, it's like doing your salat, doing your prayer. But I think today that role has changed. Teachers, particularly if you teach in these countries, Western societies, where there is not much bond between teacher and students. So teachers are no longer representatives of God in classroom, except those who have religious figures. They teach maybe something more important than I do. I just talk about what is in the textbook. But parents of any religion, not only Muslim parents. I'm talking about parents of any religion. And there is scientific evidence for that. I don't want to be very scientific tonight. I don't give you evidence and statistics and references, but there are a few things that is almost so commonly known, so I share with you. It's the first year of child development, the first year of any person's development is marked with the development of a sense of trust. Trust in Arabic, you can translate it as tawakkul or i'timad, or in Persian, you can trusting not in God necessarily, because I said this applies to every religion, even non-religious families. Children develop a sense of trust in the first year of their life. Trust in the environment, trust in the universe, trust in just this peculiar place that I arrived. Trust means you can establish a sense of interaction, give and take, and things are not so random. Everything is planned, calculated to some degree. So this sense of trust is the building block, the bedrock of the rest of human development. If a child cannot develop a sense of trust in the first year, this child grows to be pessimistic and cannot establish any relationship with any other person. Just imagine what relationships are on the road for a child, including marriage, including partnership, business, including everything. So it is very important that parents help this. In this regard, parents have the role of preparing the environment in a way that a child can trust, develop a sense of trust. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Because we assume every parent like their children. Yes, there are people who cannot control of their emotions, of their even physical dimensions. Like we don't have it, but an alcoholic mother, a father who gambles. There are a lot of parents who are not in tune with their children's life, and those children are deprived from the first gift that they needed to have the rest of their life built up. Fortunately, you don't need this lecture. You don't need this part. You develop a sense of trust in babies. When baby cries, mother takes her in her arm, breastfeeding or some massage or some, talking to that baby who cannot even understand what you say. But this is responsible responsivity that you exercise. And that is very helpful. That is very helpful. A child cries and then knows there is someone to reply, to respond in any way. And when she's sleeping, she knows it is time that she can rest. So after this, the first year passed. Then for the second year, psychologists or other social scientists have another challenge, another psychological quality that needs to establish, like sense of, if you study a little about developmental psychology, you will be familiar with it. It is in every book. It's not only in one book or one theory. It is almost in every book. The development of the sense of initiation versus guilt. Initiation means this child, this baby, 1 year old, not 1 year old, 2, 3 year old, needs to do things on her own. And when you want to just take a glass of water or want to walk to the kitchen, probably you break something or the water suddenly is on the floor or you make your clothes stained or make your hand to touch the stove and suddenly it is hot. This is the playground, the experimental field for a child, and parents have the role to supervise. A parent who wants to be very careful and wants their children be perfectly in shape and clean don't allow this initiation. And this is not necessarily helping. You are not helping your child if you are so careful about every move they make at home. You have to let them make mistakes. And as I said, every person should fall so she can learn how to stand back on his feet, on her feet. We should let our children make mistakes of course, within reason, reasonable mistakes. And we just be there as providing scaffolding. Scaffolding means a child wants to climb from this level to another level. Parents' role or society's role is to provide a stairs or a ladder so the child can make this move with less danger, with less risk. So this is parents' responsibility in this regard. This sense of trust, this sense of initiation, these help children develop later and definitely helps parents. Parents make their time free when the child grows up. But if you want to be super careful when the child is young, you are never free. You have to always be careful and take care of them. They become so dependent on you that you are always a parent. But if you want to do your parenthood in a perfect way, you can just do parenthood for 10 years, for 12 years, 15 years. Then the rest is so smooth and it's like an auto drive for most children. Of course, you are always there on the backstage, but you make less work for yourself if you be careful about the initial. Okay, since we are religion in the context of religious education, religious school and parents who suppose everybody here is Muslim. So I'm going to shift to our religious texts, the Holy Quran, Hadith, and we learn from them as well, not only psychology, but with support of, some, I chose, I think some verses for you and maybe a couple of Hadith. Children may view their parents as God-like figure. This is again not only about Muslim families, it is about if you read Christian texts or educators, they say the same thing. I wrote here God with little g intentionally so to differentiate between the real God and a God-like figure. Yeah, children actually, when you talk to them about God, they might even imagine the God as you, as a person like you, as a man, as a woman. And this imagination, this immature imagination, is actually innocent, and there is nothing wrong with it. Because as you know, up to age like 11, abstract concept is not understood very well. They can talk about God. You can mention God's name and say a lot of things about prophets, God, but the concept is materialistic in a child's mind because they think in form of concrete. They have concrete perception of everything. There is nothing wrong with it because this is a baby step toward a better understanding. But we need to be careful that they also look at us as a godlike figure. So whatever you do, they can attribute it to the real God later on. If you are kind, then God is kind. If you are not kind, if you are fair in your behavior, like you have 2 children, 3 children, if you treat them fairly, treat them nicely, then God is treating people nicely. So this is a transfer of learning from home to the whole understanding of the universe and to religion. So I'm bringing this issue up so you know that the role you play is not just raising a child. It is building a tent for later spiritual development and faith. It's all in your hand and you should do it. Of course, you are parents. You do your own chores. You do your prayer. You do your fasting. But you should take that child with you in this story too. In a very, very mild way, you should act like a God. If it is just metaphorically, it's correct. You can act like a God. And I will tell you a few things that you should do. I want one of you read this ayah. It is 24 of Isra. I don't want to speak alone here. Oh, Mr. Ali Reza Gholizadeh, do you see the screen? Please read it loud.
Yes. واحفظ لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة وقل رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا.
Okay. Would you please tell me, I made 2 words here in red, marked them in red, to imply something. Can you tell me what is about? Why I made these words red?
Mhm. Um,
In relation to what we are talking, the context.
yes. It is can be translated to how our God is growing us, or how can I explain more?
Yeah, you can.
Um, No, just this. I make a question that how can I explain more?
Oh,
But
you are asking question. I thought you want to say more. Okay,
no,
let me.
just don't know more about it. But it is related to how the God is growing us.
I see.
Yeah.
Fereshte, Miss Fereshte, I have only a first name. If you don't mind and you hear me, would you please read it again and give a translation? Or
Sorry, I was looking the ayah. Could you please repeat it?
would you read the ayah and tell me anything about its meaning?
The one that you said, وَحْفَظْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ let me find it because I didn't find that ayah. Let me find it. Could you please repeat, the verse? I mean, the number of the verse.
24 of Isra. Isra or Bani Israel is the same surah.
Okay. Sorry, just a moment, please.
That's fine. If you just learn one ayah tonight, that is, to me, that's enough, sufficient. You don't need to learn like 100 slides and learn nothing.
Okay. Do I have to read the Arabic as
Yes,
well?
please. Yes, please. Yeah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة وقل رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. It means that you have to be humble with them and
With who?
pardon?
With who? Humble with who?
With your parents.
With your parents, right?
Yeah. And pray and say that and ask your Lord that please be merciful with them as they were so kind with me when I was a child.
Thank you. Yes. And this is the translation. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. The reason I chose this is rap. You see, called rap. The same word that we use. This is, of course, in Quran, maybe one of the most repeated words to refer to God, to Allah. After Allah, rap. For parents also, we use the word rap bayani saghira. So this is a confirmation of what I just said, that parents are like God. Parents have a responsibility to be a mini God at home. So if you want the whole story of tonight, stay in your memory. This is the key word, that whatever God is, whatever attribute we believe for God, we should also adopt it in a minimal way, at least, or do it at home so our children learn God right there. Learning about God from textbook, at a school, exams, tests, or on sessions, they are all, of course, learning academically, but learning it in a way that goes to your heart, to your deeper mind. It starts right at home from this relationship. You cannot be a person who is unfair, who is not kind, who is unjust, then expect your children learn that there is a creator who is just, this is not happening. Belief in God doesn't mean you read about God. Belief in God means you believe faith, and this is the foundation of that. So this is all about parents' role. Parents can represent God's attribute and let the child feel them early in their real life. There are many, many words that use as God attributes in the Holy Quran and outside. You have heard about 99 Asma Jalala, Asma Allah. I choose a few of them, just one or two, and we'll share with you how you can act upon it, how you can show your child that you let the child taste these attributes at home. Developing a sense of trust, I already talked about it, and positive experience with compassion, kindness, and forgiveness. This is the rest of my talk tonight. compassion, kindness, and forgiveness. These are not random words. These are some of attributes of the God that maybe the most repeated one. In your salat every day and in every talk, you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, whatever meaning you choose for it. I know translators have chosen different words, but I put here compassion, kindness, and the other one, which is not Rahman ar-Rahim, is forgiveness. So I think these are building block of good faith, positive faith to Allah. Fortunately, parents do not need to do extra. There is no extra effort you were worried about. It is built in. Not only human species, but most animals have this sense of kindness. As soon as you become parents, Dr. Qureshi is here, talk to us about progesterone, estrogen, and other hormones and neurotransmitters in your brain that help you feel that. A mother who is breastfeeding also enjoys it. This is nice. So you are already naturally, inherently have this sense of kindness to your offspring, like most animals do. So it is easy. You just need to a little control, a little regulation, a little, maintaining, and a little, on top of all, you need a little time. Parents nowadays have less time than before because we have engagement, we have 24 hours job, most of us. If you are like me, I had this life since 20 years ago. I designed courses, online courses, when there was no Zoom, nothing like this. My boss told me, Ramadan, my name is Ramadan, wanted to encourage me to teach online and said, you can teach in your pajamas. But now I think I hate my pajamas because my pajamas remind me of work. I used to have my pajamas with a relaxed time, a relaxed mood, and I talk to my family. But now all parents, all children seem to be busy 24 hours or most of the day. So my point is, you should let that relationship, that communication, give it a time. So this kindness comes out of your heart. This spring water can, by itself spring out of your heart. Kindness and compassion, you don't need to try, you don't need to act, to pretend to be kind or compassionate. Just be yourself. Put yourself in a position of one-to-one with your child with undivided attention. You are a good person. Probably this automatically will be done. You don't need to plan for it. But I say life today is different than it was before. Maybe some of us need some exercise. Some of us need some fasting from screen time, fasting from other jobs to be with our family. I ask my students in my class, I have done this survey almost every year. I ask them how many minutes you talk to your parents per week. About nothing. Talking with no need to talk. I'm not talking about people who ask, oh, mom, buy me this or give me this or doctor appointment or no. Talking when you have no topic to talk. You have no need to talk. That matters. That matters. And unfortunately, a lot of them, the number of minutes they have this conversation with their parents is less than 20 minutes per week, less than 20 minutes. Some live in the same house, but they don't see each other. Thanks to refrigerator, thanks to microwave, thanks to other things that make us eat separately. Eating used to be a social event. People get together and talk nonsense. Nonsense. We have lost those moments of communication. And being a parent is not just a title. It's not enough. You should be part of this parenting relationship. So if you want to know how much time you spend with your parents, at least check your phone to see how many messages you exchanged or how many minutes you had phone conversation about nothing. So my point, God has gifted us this natural tendency to be kind to our offspring. We just need time to let it go, let it turn on. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The word Rahmah is used in Quran in different contexts. On top of all is Rahman, which means God is kind to all creatures, and Rahim means kindness to mu'mineen. This is just a distinction. Maybe some tafasir have a different view, but this is the most common one. You are not Rahman. Nobody is Rahman. Rahman is only specific to God. Actually, it is disallowed to give your name to a person unless you call it Abdul Rahman. But Rahim is less. We all can be Rahim. Rahim means being distinctively kind to some people and not kind to other people. You are not unkind, but you just are kind and show more passion, more emotion to our relatives, to our children, to our parents. As I said, this needs to be maintained, regulated, and sometimes controlled. Control means sometimes you go overdrive with your kindness, and that works against you. Kindness brings unkindness, because if you are so kind to your child, too kind one day, if next day you are normal, it means something is wrong. So we need to be careful to control our emotions, our desire. This is, I want, Miss Zohre, do you hear me? This is a hadith from Prophet Muhammad, if you can read it for me, for us. No. Soraya?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Would you please read this, if possible?
ماشي. ليس منا من لم يوقر الكبير ويرحم الصغير ويأمر بالمعروف وينهى عن المنكر.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. You did it very right. The part I need and I have to highlight is Yarhamus Saghir. But let's translate all of it. Laysa minna, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi say, it's not in my group, not in my religion, whoever doesn't respect elderly or old people and doesn't show mercy and compassion to youngsters and doesn't enjoin the good or forbid the bad. So the part I need is Yarham as-Saghir. The word Rahim, which is Quran uses for God, Prophet Muhammad easily uses for the relationship between parents and children. Says this is a very, very strong saying that Laysa minna. Some hadiths say Laysa minna means it's not part of it, even though you said your shahadatain, you do your prayer, you do your fasting, you do whatever is, and even more of ibadat. Still, if you are not kind to youngsters, not your youngsters, any, doesn't say your children, it says any young person, any child, then you are not one of us. This is it. This is how Prophet Muhammad describes your heart, describes a person. It is not a piece of advice to do things. It is what you have to be. And I said, fortunately, you are. You have this natural, inherent tendency to be like that. So it is not a burden to be like that. It is easy to be, just be careful and show it in your behavior. Imam Riza alayhi salam. Another evidence that parents are like God at home. Let me see. Mr. Hosseini, or Miss Hosseini. I don't have the first name. Okay, I don't have this person here. Parsa? Oh, I know Parsa. Parsa, do you hear me?
Salam, yes. How are you?
Salam Aziz, how are you? Would you
Good, thank
please
you.
read this hadith for us?
My Arabic is not great. I think someone else should.
I help you, don't worry. Read it. This is the place to learn. Don't worry, make mistakes. This is where you read. Yeah, go ahead.
The hadith in the bottom.
Yeah, وَقِّرُوا
وَقِّرُوا كِبَارَكُمْ وَأَرْحَمُوا صِغَارَكُمْ وَسِلُّوا أَرْحَمَكُمْ.
You did it great, right? Yeah, you should do it again and again. Yeah. وَقِّرُوا كِبَارَكُمْ. Give respect to elderly and show mercy and kindness to youngsters, to children, and keep communication and have relationship with relatives. Imam Raza alayhi salam. Again, this word is rahma, and another hadith just to emphasize. Okay, now, God is not only Rahim and Rahman, He's also forgiving. This attribute of God is for sinners. There are verses of Quran that sometimes I feel it should be read wrong. I read it wrongly because it says God likes people who commit sins. But of course, then do repentance, then regret it. Who reads this ayat? Let me ask Zainab Khanum, you yourself, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يحب التوابين ويحب المتطهرين.
Oh, you did great.
Surely
So
God
you can
loves
translate
those
it,
people
right?
who make lots of repentance, and He loves those people who are seeking purification.
Thank you. When it says Allah yuhibbu tawwabin, tawwabin means people who already committed sin, or they think they committed sins, and or they want to be respectful and they ask forgiveness, because we have it also in case of prophets. Prophets do tawbah, imams do tawbah, everybody does tawbah. You don't need to commit sins then. But this phrase it creates hope for whoever make things wrong or make mistakes. That is exactly what parents need to copy. Here is your representation of God. We should exercise forgiveness in a very regulated and well done at home, so children learn how God can forgive. Forgiveness needs to be tasted. You need to taste it. Just believe in forgiveness in the hereafter, in Qiyamah, is not enough. God forgives in this life, Inna Allaha yuhibbu tawwabin. It is not about future, it is not about Qiyamah. And yuhibbu al-mutatahhirin. Mutatahhirin are people who try to be pure, not people who are just purified in any way. Like there are some people who have good heart, but people who try to be pure, God likes them. And people who do tawbah, repentance. How can parents do that? Parents can again, if you want to be a mini God at home, you should set a policy of forgiveness at home for yourself. First and foremost is you should expect your children make mistakes, make errors, do bad things, wrongdoings. If they don't, it means they are not human beings. They should do it. And childhood is a forgiven period of life. No responsibility, no reward and punishment for a child who is under puberty. So we should expect some errors. and be prepared to forgive him in a nice way, that the child learns not only forgiveness, but fixes his behavior or his or her behavior. In our tradition, in our religious tradition, and maybe in other religions as well, of course, there are periodical forgiveness practice, a practice of periodical forgiveness. Like in Christianity, they have confession. Every other time people go confess to somebody. In our religion, fortunately, we don't need to talk to somebody. We can just talk to God. And it is direct line between every person, every individual and God, no mediator. But some of us choose to go to Haram, talk to our Prophet, salawatullah, talk to imams, to somebody. As a mediator, that's fine too. But we also have the direct line. We should never leave that direct line between you and God. Just always take mediators and vasila or vasita. They are okay. I'm not talking against it, but this should not compromise the original communication line. So is about parent-child relationship. The child should feel free and less anxious, no fear to come to dad or mom to say I did something wrong. You should open this door. If you can't, set a time for that every Thursday afternoon, we can talk about it, and then we take an eraser and clean it, wipe it. Now you are clean, and you can start from scratch. Tawwabin, God forgets. God is not forgetting, forgetful, talking about it, but forgiveness and forgetfulness both start with the same 4 letters. And to me, it is nice. It reminds of that these are maybe connected somehow. We don't have a delete button here. Of course, you never forget what children did, but you can at least try to ignore it and don't talk about it, particularly if they get older, like a child of 10, 11, 14, 15 years of age. If you show it to them, that is the nicest thing, nicest impression, the best impression parents can have on their children, particularly teenagers. But since my discussion tonight is usually on the younger age, for them, you can set a time. In our religious practice, there are 2 periodical pattern for forgiveness. One is sahar, ashar. I'll show you the ayah. About ashar, those people who do tawbah in the sahar. Now, since we don't do namaz shab, salat al-layl before dawn, let's say we do our own salat al-fajr in time. So this is the time you start your morning with tawbah from previous wrongdoings and start the day clean. That's nice. Please feel it. If whenever you say to God is astaghfirullah, feel it. Feel it. Feel that God forgave you and now you are blank slate. Start. Be careful. Be careful. You have this white dress now. You go out from morning to evening. As you take care of this, not to have stains and keep it clean, do the same thing with your heart and with your mind every morning. And the other tradition is annually, we have Laylatul Qadr every year. That is where, again, you remember more and more of what you did wrong, and you ask God for forgiveness and for a clean sheet. You start next year with. These 2 religious practices can be a good model for parents who want to do the same thing at home. Set a time for your child. Set a time of forgiveness. It could be any day. It is your choice. And or any time that they did something, like you want to be clean, so you should give a little of your time or money as sadaqah and then count it as forgiveness, then start on. And you need to forget it. You need to forget. Never bring those moments back to their mind. Be a forgetful person in that regard. This way, the child learns how God is accepting their repentance, accepting Tawbah. This is a school. This is the real religious school for a child. They learn these practices. You know, at a school, you cannot do it because unfortunately, we keep track of our record. And since computer is there, every grade from first grade, to sixth grade is there. And with a child, I was called for the same lecture for a religious school in Tehran. One of the best. Some of you were a student in those schools, and I told them when a child is moving from elementary school to middle school and then to high school, please do not pass their file. They used to do it. Whatever a child has in elementary school, now she or he has a file like 100 pages of, disciplinary things or academic record. The same file is being given to middle school. We should dump it, give it to recycle. This child should start a new life when she goes to middle school. Same thing about transition to high school. If God forgive us every year on the Laylatul Qadr, if you ask, or if God forgives some of you who are fortunate to have Salatul Layl and Bil Ashar, every day you are clean. So why should I keep a record of every wrongdoing of my children? And for what? Give it to the next group and next group? Unfortunately, this record keeping nowadays, I don't think it is good. Because if a child just feels that whatever she did, it is recorded somewhere, she can never feel safe. You can never feel pure. Somebody should convince our children that your record is gone, burned. Nobody has access to that record anymore. Start all over. This is a new life, and you can be a new you. And from this moment on, you can start counting. And next year, and next year. This is how God forgives. Why shouldn't we do that? Is the ayah about daily الصابرين والصادقين والقانتين والمنفقين والمستغفرين بالأسحار. Those who do istighfar at dawn. And we also have, religious tradition. Sorry, these lines come. Okay, now I have a question. I talked about rahmah. What is the opposite of rahmah? If someone is not rahim, is not rahman, then what is the opposite of rahmah? Anyone knows? I'm talking in the context of our religious scriptures. I'm not talking about, it's not a vocabulary, not test. Who wants to help? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم. The opposite of rahmah is not dhulm, is not being unjust, because sometimes we think opposite of rahmah is being unjust, is being shadid. Shadid means being strong, heavy, hard. If this is the opposite, so rahmah is close to the word we call soft, being soft. Softness is definitely part of parenting. Some of us want to be very disciplinary, and we don't benefit from that. If you want to be very disciplinary, you should be more disciplinary in future. You always create problem for yourself. I think perfect parents are not good parents. That's what I say. And by perfect, I mean a person who is on every detail and everything wants to be perfect. You should let your children sometimes go dirty, sometimes go sick, sometimes do things wrong. But as I said, you be there, watched and supervising for not very bad thing happen, but little things should be allowed. Ashidda'u ala al-kuffar. This is, this ayah shows Ashidda'u ala al-kuffar ruhama'u baynahum. Rahma, the opposite of rahma in this context. I'm not expert in Arabic literature or vocabulary. I learn from Quran. In this context, rahma is the opposite of being shadid, hard. And I put two translations here. One is, I think, Yusuf Ali, one is Pictol or someone else. So here it says hard, it says strong. But you know what it means. Okay, being a model, being a mini God at home, help children learn through modeling and observation, and that is where religious education starts. This question, I want one of you answer this question. Can I expect my children be better than me? Be better than I?
I think it could be a hope, but it couldn't be an expectation.
Thank you. I give up. I give up. You said already what I want to say. We should talk later on. Yes, you are right. Absolutely right. Expectation, no. Don't expect that. But if you ask me, would it happen? The answer, yes. Miracles happen all the time. Miracles happen. There are bad parents who have good children, and reverse. The fact is, you should not expect. That is what is important here. You should not expect your children be better than you. So what is the implication of that? One implication is if you want to raise your children well, you should raise yourself first or every day. So a parent should always have self-observation, self-improvement. Do something on yourself. If you wake up early morning, hopefully that your child will copy some of it. If you pay respect to elderly, hopefully your child grow to give respect to you. And if you, be careful about monetary issue, people's haqqun nas, hopefully your child will grow like that. If you don't do any of them, and you expect your child be better than you or observe all of this, no, that is too much to expect. Don't expect. I don't say it's not possible. Don't expect. But miracles happen. I heard a father, this is a real story. A father was talking to me about his son, his daughter, and and said, I told him that what she was doing or he was doing was wrong. And I told him, I am knowledgeable. I know it because I tried it and I tried all these wrong things. This person was not just a simple person, was a doctor with ample wealth, with ample knowledge, ample resources, but things like this. You tell your child that you have traveled through this wrong road and it is dead end. Now you ask your child not to go through that. Why did you do it in the first place? If you have done things wrong in your life, try to hide it. Because if you say it, your child feel free to try. A lot of lessons learned through trial. Today I was in class, we had to talk about drugs. My student did some research assignment. It was about marijuana, coke, and other drugs that some high schools in our area that have these problems of teenagers try drugs And parents who want to stop him, they say, I tried and it was bad. Please don't say it. Whatever you have done in the past, your child doesn't need to know. Unless it is discovered randomly, like somebody else said it, or you have a scar on your face. If you want to show yourself an experienced person, a knowledgeable person, there are many other ways to say it. You don't need to use this story. So, as I said, miracle happens. Children can develop a better personality and attain a higher level of morality and spirituality. They can be better than you. You can hope for that, as our sister said, but don't expect it. Okay, I think this is the last slide about generational modeling. Okay, who wants to read it? Oh yeah, Dali. Oh, Muhammad Reza, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حسنا. And we enjoined mankind to be good and to do good to his or her parents.
Thank you. Our context, the discussion is about early childhood, like before school, beginning of the school. I want to ask Ayar Dali is expert in Quran before he started this, educational works. He was, if I'm not wrong. Ayar Dali, who is the audience? Who is addressed by this ayah? Is it
all human beings, insan?
So can I read it to my child? And based on this ayah, expect them to be kind to their parents?
Of course, as you mentioned, the mankind that who understand, who is baligh, understand.
Oh, yeah. You added the word. You said who is baligh. This ayah, the addressee of this ayah, the audience is not children, are not children. Because, of course, children have no obligation. There is no religious, there is nothing mandatory on child's side. They can do whatever they want, according to religious texts. The audience, the addressee, this ayah is talking to adults, not to children. But we feel it is talking to children to be kind to their parents. We cannot read this verse for a 7-year-old child, for a 5-year-old child. You should do it. You should do it to the generation before you. Then through this modeling, they learn what to do to you. I have heard that some of our ulamas or speakers say to children, but in fact, this ayah is not addressed to them. It's addressed to adults. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا. And the continuation of this, إما يبلغن عندك الكبر, means that this ayah, any ayah that wants us, commands, instruct us to be kind to our parents, the addressee are adults, are parents, not children. But you should, Farishta, Khanum? Sorry.
I have a question. The interpretation of being adult in Islamic aspect and, in the thing that we say someone is adult is pretty much different. For example, in Islamic aspect, we say a girl who is 9 years old, baligh. But right now, we can say a person who is 18 years old or above as baligh or adult. So in this regard, there's a confusion.
I understand it. I'm aware of this confusion, and let's keep that puberty age for legal purposes. We are talking about understanding and cognition. In our religious text, there is nothing about the maturity of understanding of a 9-year-old girl. A 9-year-old girl is still a 9-year-old girl. Of course, the body can carry, have hormones and can do different functions, but the understanding, no, is not. So I don't think our religious have anything against what I say. A 9-year-old girl is still a child in this regard. In this regard, even a 50-year-old person is a child. If you are not cognitively mature, there are a lot of responsibilities that it doesn't apply to you. So even a 20-year-old person could be immature in the context of cognitive development. But physical development, or legal aspect of it, I agree with you. You just go with whatever the religion and Sharia says. But regarding understanding, there is no difference between 9-year-old girl and 9-year-old boy, or 12 and 12, or 13, and particularly today, there is no difference. Girls are a little ahead emotionally. They understand better than boys. Boys are a little out of sync until this prefrontal cortex develops. So girls are a little mature, but I don't want to use that fact in this context. So the ayah is not addressing, of course, if you are reading this ayah, you should understand. So let's say this applies to adults. So if a 9-year-old girl married at 9 years of age, now she has a baby, so she's adult. She already knows she's adult, and this applies to her as well. But the girls I see right now around me, they are immature. They need someone to take care of them. They are so at risk. This needs more discussion. I know, I understand, and I'm not expert on that. I'm just talking about mental development, cognitive development. So let's summarize what we discussed tonight. First, I said parents are representing God at home, and religious education, belief in God, faith in God, starts right here before it goes to books and school and so and so. And if you let the child taste some of the attributes of God at home, later you do not need reasoning and proof for that, because she already tasted forgiveness from you. She enjoyed your kindness. Now she can extrapolate this kindness, this forgiveness, to the actual God who is the creator. Thank you for listening. Now I'm open for any questions.
Thank you very much. As always, I learned a lot from you. I'm going to start question and answer session with a question of mine. Hopefully in that time, others can prepare their questions and they can speak out for themselves, or they can write it in the chat box. My question is that you talked about kindness and forgiveness and compassion, being compassionate. Do you think at some point these can become too much?
Mm-hmm. Of course. Thank you for, there are parents who show kindness to their children because they need it. It happens a lot when you are talking to your child, hugging, kissing. It is your need, not their need. But we always think we are helping them, we are serving them, we are giving kindness to them. You are giving it to yourself. A child doesn't need to be kissed every day or every moment. Leave him alone. Let the child have its own need. We keep hugging, kissing, and talking. This is parents' need. In a parent-child relationship, not half of it, but a lot is because the parents need it, and they think the child needs it. Let me add something here about what we don't have. There is a capacity, there is actually not capacity, this is an inability in most of us as parents, and it is communication. We are very poor in communication. We as community of Muslims, community of Iranians, We lack words to talk to our children, so we act, we do it, or we use inappropriate words. A lot of words that we use should not be used all the time. Like, sorry, I say, "Qurbunet beram," in Persian they say, or maybe other words in other languages. Your school, I think, needs, if you want to have a class, a training for parents, think of a communication training, the words that you can use with your children. I give you just a couple of hints now. One is, a lot of us use trait words. Trait word is you describe the personality of a child or adult, doesn't matter. If someone comes late to your class, you say, "You are lazy," right? Lazy is an attribute of personality. You shouldn't use it. Not for children, not for others. Use behavioral comments. "Oh, you arrived late." This is better than "you are lazy." You arrived late. So a child at home does a lot of things during the day. Try to avoid personality labels. Try to avoid, because they stick. They stick for a long time. And the child may even assimilate it. Assimilate means take it into their home by, "Oh, I'm a lazy person," or "I'm not a thoughtful person." Any word. We have lots of, they are not insults, but they are diminishing, they are degrading, and they're labeling one's personality. Try to avoid it. I think communication is our weakness, and we need to learn. We need books to read about, books to write about this. And if you want, I can give you more examples later. Next question, please.
May I have a question?
Yes, please.
Regarding the forgiveness you mentioned, I have a question. How soon we have to forgive them when they, for example, when they say sorry? Because, sometimes their acts are pretty different from the others. And, because in Quran, we have that Sari al-Maghfirah. And I think that's so I have to forgive her as soon as she says sorry, but sometimes her act is different, and I have to remind her that every time you say sorry, I don't have to accept it as soon as you say sorry. So I just want to know that if this perspective is true or no, I have to forgive her immediately.
Oh, good question. Forgiveness could be conditional on your side, but you don't necessarily, because forgiveness in this case is for learning. You should tell your child, "Okay, we forgive you if this is your last time." Particularly at home, if they have siblings, a lot happens between siblings. Usually the older one, beat the younger one, or take his toys, or take her toy. This happens a lot at home. Just saying, "This is the last time you did it. I know, my dear, this is the last time, you wouldn't do it again." Just make suggestions of this kind. Forgiveness should be followed by a few words of making it an opportunity to learn, not just an opportunity to get rid of and do it again and do it again. So you should have words immediately follows your forgiveness. And forgiveness could be right at the spot, but clean. You just made the kitchen dirty because I told you not to eat in that pot. Now the kitchen is dirty. That is fine, my dear, but please clean it. Forgiveness should be followed by some lessons to learn, so not to repeat it, because it is by itself. Same is about our relationship with God. The forgiveness, tawbah, is just to give you a fresh start to be better. That is the purpose. So if you want to even copy God, copy whatever is in Quran about istighfar and such. Yes.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Any other questions?
Okay, Alhamdulillah.
I think your
Thank you.
talk
Thank
was
you.
very convincing, apparently.
No, it's not. I just crossed my mind and I made notes for you. I just set aside some of it. I tried to be less a scientist tonight. Yeah. Thank you very much. Sorry for joining you about 7-8 minutes. I drove from work, but this is the bad traffic of DC. It's not a very well-designed city. I hope you. Yeah, thank you, Fatima. I don't know all of you, unfortunately. Sometimes I come to Toronto, and last time I was there, actually 2 times I was in Toronto. Every time you move from one school to another. Now you have a new land, inshallah. As I said, move on. And from now on, think just try to train future generation to take over your job because you are not always young. Sooner or later, you feel you don't have the energy. Just train as you move on. Train some of your students. Keep them as your assistants. And thank you. God bless you. Inshallah, rahmakum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much, Abdullah. So in our new location, we are waiting for you, inshallah ta'ala. With inshallah, you come with the blessing of your presence, inshallah ta'ala. Will be in 5 years the next step, inshallah. Or
Inshallah.
early. Thank you so
Inshallah.
much.
Inshallah. Yeah, I know your taste and your you are a straight thinker. You have a good future, by the way, inshallah. But just train people like you. Train people like yourself. Yeah, this is you should yeah, inshallah. Goodbye, Khuda Hafiz, everyone. Khuda.
Thank you so much. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.